What's good, everybody? You know what that means. It's Thursday night, live from the Good News radio station in Hawthorne, California. It's Touchdowns and Tangents. I'm Pete Camarillo.
I'm Kenneth Rank Jamesbury.
And shout out to the Ramley. Consecutive losses since the last time we were on these airways.
Fantastic losery. Fantastic.
Blowing the game to the Buccaneers, and now the Seahawks have the ball, or are challenging the ball. I might have just jinxed them. But yeah, they're supposed to get the ball with about 2 minutes left and hopefully sealing up the game. So there goes first place in the NFC West.
Here comes a wild card.
Here comes San Francisco.
Undefeated San Francisco.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, without further ado, we got our very special segment back this week. It's time for
Kenny's Community Conversations.
So before we get into the actual interview, you want to just preface it a little bit?
Yeah, I'll preface it with I talked to Leuzinger head coach Thomas Barnes. Funny story. So one of the cables popped out right when I was about to go live. And then I spent like 20 or 30 minutes making sure like everything was all the way in the groove. Had to call. Shout out to Keith for getting on Ring. Shout out to Michael. Had to pretty much damn near FaceTime, figure it out. And it was literally two little plugs that were sticking out the back that held up everything. But thankfully, Coach Barnes was totally patient about all of it. So got that crisis averted, and then went right to the interview. He talked a lot about his program, some of the things they face, tradition, the Mayor's Cup, because it's been traditionally against Leuzinger and Hawthorne, and Lawndale pretty much has dominated it, and then winning a state title kind of just raised the bar up for the whole district. And I kind of also talked about how, you know, the history of the Cincinnati Valley School District from the time I was in high school till now. It's 9 years. A lot changes in 9 years.
It's a preamble, not a whole synopsis.
Yeah, no, just the preamble. And also, something that did make the air, but he did say they've been, because when I asked Londa about their weight room, you know, they told us, and when Coach Barnes brought up that the team has been practicing outside with their weights under a big tent. If you go down Rosecrans, right by Leuzinger, you can see it's a big white tent. All their weights are under there. When it rains, some days they can't even lift. It's rusted. They've had issues, and they've had that issue for about 2 years now. So it's not just Lawndale. It's starting to look like it's just a district-wide thing where athletically not getting enough support in areas that they need it. So it'll be interesting talking to, eventually, I'm just going to put it out there, fingers crossed, talk to Derwin Henderson, Hawthorne High's head coach. See what that's like. But yeah, it's good. About 30-minute conversation, so it was good. I'm excited. Can't wait for y'all to hear it. Hopefully you learn something.
And it's my first time hearing it, so I'm excited to hear it. Here we go.
Have here head coach of the Leuzinger Olympians. Go ahead, state your name.
This is Coach Barnes, Thomas Barnes.
Thomas Barnes. And fresh off a victory against Santa Fe High School. Beat them 14-0?
14-0, yes, sir.
3-2. I think most games you've been there about 2 years?
Yes, it's my third year coming up.
Yeah,
right
third year. Pretty much off to a fast start. En route to at least, make the playoffs. The last time Leuzinger made the playoffs 4 years ago?
My first year we made the playoffs.
All right. And it was 10-3.
That was the year before I got there. They were 10-3.
Okay, year before. My bad. Year before 10-3, won league pretty much outright. You come on, you lose a lot of seniors, a lot of talent, rebuilding the program back up. How's that transition been?
It's been pretty good. I think The way that we're doing is a lot different, I guess, from everyone else. We're not getting a lot of transfers. It's like a lot of homegrown kids that, live around the corner from the school. Like if I give 3, 4, 5 kids a ride home in about 10, 15 minutes because they all live right around the school. It's a pretty cool deal. We kind of build it from the ground. Like a lot of the kids have been with me for 3 years now. So I have about 27 juniors that have been with me since I got there. Mm-hmm. And we only have 6 seniors in the whole program. Wow. So, we're just trying to put it together.
And what was it like inheriting the program, coming off that huge year for Leuzinger, first year? How was that?
It was really tough. I don't think people understand the expectations when you just had a coach that went 10-3 before I got there. And I know how that is because I came into a situation where, as an assistant coach in other places where the teams were awful. So anything that you do is great. Like I came into a situation at Long Beach Milliken where the team had just come off of 0-10, and they were 2-28 over a 3-year period. We won 5 games, and everybody loves you. You're the hero. You know what I mean? Where in this situation, they were 10-3, so now the expectation is we're going to the championship next year because they missed it that year by 1 game, so we should be going to the championship. Well, no, all of those kids really graduated. This is a young team, so in that process, I'm glad that, the kids that have stayed and weathered the storm really are kind of starting to reap some of the benefits of, the hard work and the struggle of really building the program, rebuilding it from, where it was.
And how many of the kids know the history of the program? Because, like I said, full disclosure, I went to Lawndale. I was on that 2009 team that went to the playoffs. A lot of the guys I played with don't play football anymore. They got kids, families. And we still remember those times, and we were kind of connected to the school. And I know Leuzinger was, too, because my sophomore year, they pummeled us. I think they beat us like 66-3. I don't know. It was bad. Like that. I remember watching on TV, Channel 22, Mark Rogers play, and like all the Leuzinger greats, and hearing all these tales. And I felt like I knew almost as much about, the history of the school as they did. But obviously, 10 years is a long time. Things change. Kids come and go. How do you feel like the kids are connected to that Olympian history?
I think there's not a tremendous connection to the history of the school. One thing that I've really been trying to do is reach out and find alumni who have been successful coming through Leuzinger and gone on to do a lot of positive things. And I've talked to some people, and we've actually had a couple people come and talk to the kids, and we're trying to get more to come and speak to them and say, hey, I sat in the same seat that you're sitting in. I played on the same field that you're playing on right now, so it can happen. You can do it. You know what I mean? Like one of our kids who was with me my first year, Elijah Miles, he's at Chadron State now. He's a starting tailback down at Chadron State in Nebraska. And I had him come back and talk to the kids and kind of just talk to them about how college life has affected him and what he's learned since he's been in college. You know what I mean? We just had a kid that graduated. He's at Utah State right now, Keith Harris. I want him to come back and talk to the kids now that he'll only be in school a semester, but I want him to come back this year and talk to him and say, hey, because he was just on your team last year, just kind of share that next level experience with the kids. And I've also reached out to some of the alumni from way back to say, hey, can you come and just talk to the kids and tell them, what it was like when you were here and what your process was in at the university level. And some of those guys have gone on to the pros and just say, hey, man, this is what it is. This is what you have to do to make it. So they have that understanding, because a lot of times you sit and if you don't have an example of it, you can't see it, then you don't believe it can happen. You know what I mean? No matter how good you are, you need to have something that kind of speaks to you and says, hey, I can do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's a situation or an event. You know what I mean? But whatever it is, I just want to be, involved with sparking that flame in the kid and get them going. You know what I mean? Just to help them out, to try to get as many as you can to the next level, because as coaches, that's our goal. We want to help as many kids as we can to go on to the next level, even if it's not with football, just in life. You know what I mean? I want you to be successful.
Yeah, and with alumni like Coach Tolliver, he was like a huge staple of that program. We reached out to him.
Yeah, I talked to him, and he actually gave me a list of people who graduated from there, and I've talked to some of those people, and they've given me information to those people. Now it's just a process of reaching out to them and having them come back and talk. Some of the guys have come back and talk. Matter of fact, there's a guy that's supposed to Ali Jamal is going to come back and talk to some. I mean, it's a process right now, just getting those guys. Getting them to have the time to come and talk to some kids in the middle of the day, because a lot of people have jobs now, but a lot of people live far away. So it's just a matter of getting them there, maybe getting them to a game and coming and talking to them before the game or after the game. Just trying to, some of them are said they'll send videos to come and talk to them. I even had one of my former players who's in the league now, John Ross. He came back and spent the day with the kids and talked to them. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh my God, that's John Ross. I'm like, yeah, that's a kid that that played for me that has been successful, and he made it.
Having a career year too.
Exactly. He's doing really well right now. They got a game tonight. I wish I could go.
Didn't get him on my fantasy team. Kind of regret it now. Had him last year.
A lot of people sleeping on him.
Changed numbers, everything.
Yeah.
And sure. as far as that goes, like bringing players back, bringing history, like how. Because all the coaches obviously have different backgrounds, but what's your background? How did you end up at Leuzinger?
It was a situation where the coach left kind of late in the game, where they posted the job, I guess, pretty late. I didn't start coaching there until June. My first day at Leuzinger was graduation day 2017.
Wow.
So it was really late in the game. I had been coaching in Long Beach for about 7 years, and then I had gone over to Paramount High School to become the offensive coordinator there. A buddy of mine was a head coach. He had open heart surgery. He asked me to come help him out because he wasn't going to be able to, function for a little while. So I helped him out for a year, and then this opportunity came around. And my intention was I was going to go coach at Crenshaw High School, but just something, God just talked to me. It's literally, and I'm not like super religious, anything like that, but God really spoke to me and said, hey, this is where I want you to go. It was weird where I was like, okay. I was like, something's telling me to go to Leuzinger. And I said, okay, well, if this happens, then I'll go. And it happened. Okay, if they call me and tell me I got the job today, then I'm going to go. They called me like 30 seconds later. And I said, wow. But I had a meeting over at Crenshaw High School. And I was still kind of halfway like, man, I want to, because that was my first place ever coaching was at Crenshaw with Coach Garrett. My first 4 years coaching was with him. And we were supposed to have a meeting to discuss how we're going to do things that season. And I said, well, I'm going to go to the meeting, and I think I'm going to go to Crenshaw anyway. The meeting got canceled. I didn't cancel it. They canceled it. Like, all the coaches were supposed to go, and it got canceled. I was like, okay, God, I got you. I'm going. And I just said, okay, this is the place for me. This is where I'm going to be. This is where you want me to go. That's it. It's done.
And as far as I know, you talked about off mic, you said you coached on the Centennial team.
Yeah, I was an assistant coach with Eric Scott. He was the head coach at Compton Centennial. I was there, I believe it was 2009. Went over to help him out. He needed some help, and it was that was probably one of my greatest experiences, because the year before I got there, they had gone 1-9, and I know that's my guy, that's my brother. So I went and helped him out, and we ended up having the only undefeated league championship season in Compton Centennial history. That was a pretty special season. I
remember that because we got beat badly by Centennial I think it was either our last game of the regular season before the playoffs or second to last. I think it was our last, because I think we played El Segundo on senior night. But yeah, we lost to Centennial. We were like, wow. It was impressive, because I remember like people used to look at Centennial as a laughing stock.
Exactly.
But then it's like, wait, no. Oh, they bullying people. And that culture kind of changes. And I feel like no matter where you go as a coach, when you see that, you carry a piece of that with you. So how are you kind of molding and shaping Leuzinger's image?
Because I've been a part of a couple of teams that were very successful, and just being